For this project, I used different research images for, of course, Christine, Miss Julie, and John. For John, I used the images of the movie that was done in 2010, I believe. And this movie shows John dressed up, not exactly as any man with a title would, but fancy enough to understand that he's in the Midsummer's Party. And then from the script, I was inspired by how he brought about the sharpness of his costume. I think that it takes character to do that and to really make the design have its moment through character and attitude and how you present yourself in the play. And from the script, I perceived that he's a handsome man that very masculine and that wears his clothes nicely. So I used these 4 fabric swatches for John. The first is his vest. It's like a texture to keep him warm. I believe it could be wool, but I don't know if they could afford that. But I'm just speaking on like from the point of view that it needs texture. And then this is a color for his shirt. And then I decided to do this charcoal gray for his suit. And then for lighting purposes, I decided to put this like organza, like shiny fabric over it. And that way, with the light of the stage, you can see the shininess. And then just for the inside of his lapel, kind of like this little thing with the black shiny satin, or if it's too much, then the other side. And this is John. As you can see, I was proud that this was accurate, but definitely the hardest part of doing that. And then the lighting and shadows is because of the stacking of these 2 fabrics, and then the black, like this. Moving on to Miss Julie. Miss Julie is wearing a yellow dress. The color yellow is supposed to symbolize like a disordered person, an organized person. I used also the silhouette of a dress made in the 1880s in France. I believe that the fashion trend grew in all of Europe, and I used kind of that silhouette. And I used different fabrics. I used a lot of them. So this first yellow goes as a main. It was hard to color match because of the sheerness of watercolors, but this is as best as I could. It looks more accurate in person. And then I did the same idea from John of stacking this more transparent one over it so that it looks more textured in the on stage. For the inside lining of her little cape, I am gonna use this under and then this over, because if I were to put this alone, it looks too sheer. Can you see the difference? This is too sheer for it to be lining, so I just put that under. And then the outside of the cape is this color. It's gonna go it's this little part on the shoulders. That's why I made like the shadows darker. And then I rescued this tiny piece of fabric, and it's gonna be this little edge, and especially here in the front I try to replicate the design. In the center is this alone, like this, and that is Miss Julie. And my favorite for Christine, this is Miss Christine. So I decided to change it up a bit because since it is the party, I changed it from my original idea of giving her uniform. I decided to instead do a gown. This is a bow, so it's a big bow on the back, and it's gonna be this color right here. And then the whole dress is gonna be made out of this fabric. As you can see, I kind of tried to mimic the texture. And then her sleeves have like this detailing that goes like this. So if this were to be her sleeve, this is the part like this. And then her neck has this beautiful shiny lace. I think it suits the color palette really well. And lastly, her gloves are made out of this shiny satin. And those are my renderings along with my fabric choices. I decided to give each character a completely different color palette because, well, essentially, John does not care for Christine since he did sleep with Miss Julie, and that shouldn't give him, in my opinion, as the costume designer, any element of their costumes, kind of like symbolizing that they're both on their own at the end. And I enjoyed this project very much. I didn't really have any problems per se of doing this. It was just I underestimated how much it would take. Luckily I started early, but yeah, it was really fun trying to do the texture. I definitely need more practice with watercoloring, not with color matching, because I believe I know how to do that well, but the texture, how to draw like the shadows, and if it has a little flower, how to draw it. And yeah,